Well, I think after watching film, it kind of confirmed what we saw Saturday, and it's been a few other games. It's not just isolated Saturday. Stop the run is number one period, especially in this league where it's a run dominant league, and we didn't do that. Our execution was poor. We couldn't get off the field. And those are just facts. I mean, those are just straight up facts. And we some of the things they did better than us. Some of the things we just didn't do as well as we intended and were capable of doing. So it's a mixture of both. You know, you got to give credit to the team as well because they've got schemes, they've got plays, they've got formations. But it wasn't anything that we didn't see during the week and didn't practice well against during the week. Speed of the game is different on Saturday, but that's going back, 8 weeks now. I mean, that's every week it's going to be that different on Saturday because you want to keep your guys fresh and healthy. I thought we played on our heels and not on our toes. At the end of the day, I think we kind of absorbed things instead of ran through things, and that was kind of a different story the week before against Weber at times, and throughout the course of the season against run outfits. And we've got to stop the run. We've got to force them to pass, and it's your license to pass rush once they get in third, medium, and long. Playbook's open when it's third and short. Playbook's open when it's second and medium, and we didn't play behind the line of scrimmage or in front of the line of scrimmage enough on defense. And when we did, there's a few times where we had multiple hats of the ball and a TFL about ready to occur, and all of a sudden before you know it, there was 1 or 2 yard gain. So that's kind of how the day went. And so then you got to kind of, as a head coach, make some decisions, calculated risks along the way, knowing that, based on the first 2 quarters or 3 quarters or 3 quarters and a half, to put your team in a situation to come out victorious. So that's why we, got into the onside stuff and the fake punt for short field purposes. But stop the run, there's a lot of elements. I mean, it's gaps, it's personnel, it's injuries, it's scheme from the offense, it's tempo. There's a lot of variables to it, and we didn't handle those variables well on Saturday at all.
You and multiple other coaches talk about how much you practice for the reward of only playing a handful of games. You've got 3 games left this season. What are you telling your guys? Are you telling them to enjoy the moment? Are you telling them to cherish the fact that, you've only got 3 games? I mean, how does that discussion go, or even does it go?
Well, I think you prepare for an anticipation of an outcome, and everybody is on both sides every week is preparing for the same outcome, but only one's going to get what they prepared for. So that's why it stings a little bit more. That's why we always try to relish it in the success of winning too. It's easy to discard a win and get on to the next, and it's the nature of sports. Really, is you put so much work in for a week, and then before you know it, win, lose, or draw. The next morning you wake up and it's on to the next, and there's some literalness to that. But you also want to bask a little bit in the work you put in because it's not easy. And then when those results don't match up with what you put in from the off season until that point, everyone works hard in the off season, and sometimes the hardest worker doesn't receive the fruits of their labor. Sometimes sometimes hard work is just hard work. We're in a better spot than we were last year. And it may not show on the scoreboard, but you talk about 5, one possession games, 0 moral victories, but those are facts. We a lot of times we're not in a possession games after about 2 or 3 series in games last year at times. This team we're playing this week, it was 17-10 last year, and it felt like no one could score. Everyone was kind of, both sides trying not to lose the game as opposed to winning the game, and I think we've flipped that around. We go to win games now as a staff. And as players, and it just hasn't happened that way. So that's why it stings a little bit more because they felt the effects, and maybe some of the same effects or the same outcomes in terms of just literal losses. But the way we're handling those are better, more mature. The way we're playing in those 60 minutes is a lot better and more mature. It's just not equating to the other side. And sometimes win can be toxic too. You win too much, and all of a sudden no one says a thing. Everything's something all right. And I think along the way we've done a good job as an entire program to be able to try to rectify things in the moment, not wait for something to get at hand to identify it and then say something and do something about it. And that's a testament to those guys from January on to say we got to be more accountable. But just because you're more accountable doesn't mean wins are going to follow. It's going to take some time. And it's a delayed gratification model. And there's been some tough ones this year, wins and losses. There's been some tough games. We got to get ourselves off the deck, and we've got to, like I said, plant our toes. We got to play forward. We got to think forward. We got to learn from the past, not live in the past, but remember the past to be able to do something in the future that's different than the past results we've had.
I'm old, I don't remember. So was Paul your position coach here?
It was, yes.
Did Paul hire you?
Yes, Coach Wolf allowed me to, told me to, that I was going to be his offensive line coach, and that's a true story. This wasn't going to be the journey for me. I wanted to do it at the high school level, and he told me once the offensive line coach as a GA that you're now the O-line coach. That's how it started. So there was no talks previous to that, other than I was helping out and making cut-ups and making copies and coffee. And before you know it, the offensive line coach left for a full-time position, and I was put in that slot. And so a lot of respect for Coach Wolf. He gave me an opportunity to not only play college football, which was a dream of mine, especially at the Division I level. Didn't know that dream was going to become a reality. He believed in me, and therefore I put everything I could into learning his teachings. And from that point on, I developed a relationship as a player and a coach, and then became a coach as colleagues together until 2007. So I have much to be thankful for individually for this opportunity here and when I got here, because if it wasn't for him, the chances of us being here together are probably slim and none.
So are you hugging him or punching him in the nose this weekend?
No, I'm hugging him. I mean, it's you cross over sometimes, no different than Coach B the last couple of years, and it's tough to walk away knowing one of the two of you is not is going to be grumpy, and there's still some grumpiness after wins too, but it's an ultimate respect. They're light years ahead of where they were from spring of 21, light years ahead. The transition from the triple to what they are now was going to be tough, but adding a quarterback and some length of receiver, the offensive line is dismantled in a good way. I mean, they're way better than they were. And, you hire Coach Wolf to be the offensive line coach, who then gets in the chair of head coach. The natural tendency is to get better at that position that he once coached. And so they're a good football team. They're a good football team, and our duty is to keep them winless on the road. I mean, this weekend, try to keep them winless on the road, but I'll hug him. Always have, always will, no matter the outcomes, no matter the situation. You don't, you honor the ones that got you to your spot, win, lose, or draw. And whether they're tough times or not tough times, that's always going to be the way it is.
Just what do you need to do to win this game?
Score more. Play confident, get in a groove, score touchdowns when the opportunity presents itself in the red zone. Don't play conservative, don't call it conservative, calculated risks. This stuff we've done in a lot of the games up to this point that, you don't change your MO. You got to stop the run on defense. You got to score when the opportunity presents itself on offense, and we've got to have an outstanding day on special teams. We've had really good days on special teams thus far in a few of the games. We've got to have an outstanding day in our cover units, our return units. Collectively, if we can do those three things, I think we can play some real good complementary football. But it's got to be. It's not going to be seamless, but we got to play fearless.
Outside of Paul telling you that you are going to be coaching with him, do you have a favorite maybe memory of whether your time together, whether it be as a player or during that coaching tenure?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I would say one of them was probably going to Carbondale, Illinois, as a 16 seed, upset the number one team in the nation, Southern Illinois. And we've always been kind of the place where but, and then all of a sudden you go back and you eke out a win against the number one seed in the nation when they were seeding 1 through 16, going back there and then hosting the next game at home. We unfortunately lost that next game against Sam Houston, but that was probably the coolest moment, being a part of something like that where you're big underdogs on the road in the playoffs against a great outfit, both offensively and defensively, and having been a part of that week prep to get to that point where you scored more points, and it's the win in advanced stage. And if I remember right, that might have been the first playoff game I was a part of as a coach, a full-time coach, and so that's pretty special to me. But taught me a lot. taught me a lot. I believe in Coach Wolf a lot, and I owe him forever. He's been a big influence, a big mentor of mine.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.